It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. Oh, in the name of God. Now I know what it feels like to be God.
Hello, children of the night. Welcome back to Blood and Guts HHN Creature Feature. And we got a legendary beast for you tonight. With me, as always, Mad Matt. How's it going, Matt?
Oh, Adam, I'm doing wonderful because, as you know, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And honestly, when people twist my arm and say you have to pick one, it's usually my go-to. So, how about yourself? Are you excited about tonight's episode?
I am. I love this. This is one of my ideas of what a perfect film is. And even though it has its problems, we're going to get into that. I'm not saying it's completely perfect, but if you're looking for a film that's damn near perfect,
Yeah.
this is it. We're talking about the 1975 classic, legendary Summertime is Upon Us. And Amity Needs Summer Dollars. We're talking about Jaws. That's right.
Yes. So, I mean, where to begin with Jaws? For me, you got to begin with the man, the myth, the legend, Peter Benchley, who wrote the original novel. Now, I've read that novel, and to me, it's a very good book. It's not one of my favorite books because there's some subplots that go into the movie, so there's lots
Yep.
of differences and stuff there. Like there's actually a lot of mafia connections into the book, and that's why the mayor's pushing to keep the beaches open and things of that nature, where they owe the mafia money. So that's part of the reason of their motivation of keeping the beaches open. So I did like that part. One of the biggest down parts for the book for me is there a lot of the characters are unlikable. And if you read, like even Chief Brody himself is supposed to be your main protagonist. He's very unlikable guy. He's kind of aloof,
Yeah.
kind of like a slob, to be fair about it. So that was one thing I can say. Steven Spielberg, when he took that novel, and Carl Gottlieb, who wrote the script, they kind of changed things around to make everybody, even Quint, even though he's salty stuff, they make him likable and make you label these characters, especially Chief Brody, like his fear of the water and things like that. Like I said, Peter Benchley done a great job writing this book. The producers, Richard Zanuck, and the other one's name's leaving me, somehow got a hold of that manuscript for the book to come out and to see the potential in the movie there.
Right.
And I want to say Brown's his last name, but I can't think of the first name. But anyway, they did the smart thing, went ahead and optioned that book into a film.
Yeah, rather quickly, too.
Rather quickly, and like I said, started looking for who could they get to direct this beast. And they had lots of names on their short list, but who did they ultimately land on?
That was Spielberg. And funny thing, Spielberg didn't ultimately want to direct this one. He kind of went back and forth with it for a little while, and even after they started principal production,
Yeah.
he still kind of was bouncing around. Like,
Yeah, he kind of thought, maybe I can get out of this.
do I want to get out? Do I want to really do this? And as you know, the film was plagued with troubles from day one. And that's part of the reason why it's such an awesome film.
Yeah.
And
It's one of those things, and we'll kind of talk about as we go on too, where a lot of, you can think of Bob Ross, a lot of happy accidents, because there are things they wanted to film, but things didn't work right, so they had to shoot around it. But one thing, from the pre-production point, once the planning came out, Steven Spielberg and the producers, they assembled one of the best cast, like for where nobody really, like I know, like they wanted like Lee Marvin for Quint. They wanted big names at first, and that would have kind of overshadowed their parts, because you'd be looking at them thinking, oh, that's Lee Marvin.
Oh yeah, it's Lee Marvin, and wasn't there Charlton Heston?
Yes, Charlton Heston was linked to it too.
Linked to it, yep.
And but they end up saying like on Roy Scheider as Chief Brody, like an everyman that like, and he's awesome in French Connection.
Oh, he's great. He's such a great character actor. I love it.
He is. And then you got Robert Shaw was the scene still in this, and like he was already famous from his work in the James Bond movies, The Sting.
The Sting. I love The Sting.
Yeah,
yep.
Love The Sting. Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper. Does a fantastic job, and then Murray Hamilton, even though he's a small role, but as Mayor Vaughn, he just tickles me to death throughout that movie.
Beaches will remain open.
Yeah. And then rounding out, you got Lorraine Gary's playing Ellen Brody. She does a great job of the scene she's in. And I love it's a very small part, but I love Jeffrey Kramer as Deputy Hendricks because he's got these little quips in there. He's like, "What's wrong with my handwriting?"
Yeah, Paulie does the printing.
Paulie does the printing.
That's right.
So have that great cast, and then they get into there. Like I said, they're constantly changing the script. They get, like I said, they get Carl Gottlieb, and they actually put him in as a small part for Meadows, so he can continue touching up the dialogue and be on set. And but once they got on set, lots of problems happen. And I know you really want to elaborate on some of these problems that we've seen too.
Oh yeah. It's just it was just plagued with the shark, and everybody knows the shark is not working. The shark is not working, and that's a big deal. But that also adds, especially to the fear.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that shark a lot of this film, and that scares the hell out of you.
Right, and that's well put, and that's what's beautiful. Because not mean to cut you off, but like Spielberg originally planned in storyboard, they wanted to see that shark.
They wanted to see
lots
of scenes of shark, yeah.
And like you said, it worked out so good because then you don't see the shark, and you have that fear.
And you have that fear of what's under the water beneath me, which is why when this film came out, 1975, over 67 million people in the U.S. went to see this film. Lines around the block.
Yes.
Lines around the block. Well, first, let's see, third of the country's total population at the time. In my notes, which of course made it the first summer blockbuster. Lines around the block to see this thing, and then afterwards, the fallout was people weren't going in the water,
right?
Because you're thinking that what the hell is under my feet? I can't see it. It's a shark.
Yeah, and I mean another sad downfall of that too is like a lot of great whites were getting killed for pretty much no reason because people wanted them shark teeth and
right
crazy things like that. But
yeah.
Like I said, it become a phenomenon in itself, and like I always think about whenever they actually finish production, it's almost like you got two movies in there. You got the first half of the movie where the sharks killing everybody, they're trying to keep the beaches open, things still happens, the crap hits the fan, but then another movie takes place whenever it's down to your three main characters of Quint, Hooper, and Chief Brody when they get on the boat, and it's just like us against the shark, and they go out there and. Spielberg did a great job when he was filming this because he always they were really just a mile or two offshore. So if he didn't film it right, you could see the land, and he always kept in his mind. He said, "I don't want the audience to see the land because anybody with enough sense once it starts getting out of hand,
you won't feel that sense of isolation."
Right,
is what it is, and this it has that touch of Spielberg, like you believe Ellen, and you believe Brody, and you believe the children, you believe they're this happy family and they're in this new area.
Right.
So you think about films like Poltergeist and stuff that have that same Spielberg touch. Like you believe this familial unit, and that you pull in. You think about your own family. You think about somebody's family that that's close to you, and you go, that is a nice family unit.
Right.
And then you think about this creature, this beast. So it's almost a slasher.
Yeah.
When you really think about it. So you have your Jason Voorhees, who's only on camera for a few seconds. He kills a camper, and then he's gone. But then you also have Spielberg, who's a smart director. This is almost, if you look back at the Hero's Odyssey, from the old days, the Homer and all that stuff.
Right.
This is the hero's journey. This is the call to action. This is the return home. This is all follows that too. So you have these three melting pots, of storytelling here.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. Because, like I said, Chief Brody, like I said, at the very beginning of the film, Spielberg does a great job of establishing that he's scared of the water, and they make fun of him like you're scared of the water, but you live on an island. You live on an island.
It's only an island if you look at it from the sand.
Yeah, and as the film progresses, you see him slowly overcome that fear, not because he wants to, but mainly because he has to. Because especially when you get to that finale, when the boat's sinking, and he's on there with his rifle, and that shark's got that tank in its mouth, and just seeing that scene and the tension built up, and that's another great touch that Spielberg added to this, because in the novel, the shark eventually just drowns because the barrels can't go down, and it's such an anticlimactic ending because it's getting ready to kill Brody, or so you think, and the shark essentially drowns itself above water. And
right. And that's not gonna make a great summer blockbuster right there.
Right, and Peter Benchley even admitted that Spielberg done it right because he thought the ending when he first mentioned it to him, he said that there's no way that could happen. It's implausible, so the audience wouldn't believe it.
Right.
And Spielberg's like, they can believe a shark is doing all this terrorizing for an hour and 45 minutes. They're going to believe that for 30 seconds too. And so watching that shark explode and seeing the exuberance from Roy Scheider whenever he saved his life, and at the time he didn't know he saved Hooper's, but seeing that joy on his face just makes you want to jump up and scream too because of what happened in that ending. So Spielberg does a great job of capturing that action and leaving you with a rousing ending to where when you leave, you've got to talk about, you got to tell your, like I said, when you mention your figures, you've got to go see this movie.
You got to tell them, and it's got that same, like, you know, poltergeist feeling where in the end the family prevails.
Yeah.
You know, of course, until you get to, you know,
Yeah.
part 2 and so on down the line. And, you know, as with each film, this one does have its sequels. Some of them not as good as this one, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, but it's such a, I prefer to watch it. I can watch it anytime, really.
Oh,
honestly.
this one I can, yeah.
But it's a summer watch for me. You know, first and foremost, it's a big summer watch, July.
Yeah.
You know,
Before we transition in, because like I said, we've done a good job of capturing like the pre-production and the film and all that stuff. What's your favorite scene in the movie that sticks out to you? Like I said, if you talk to somebody and say, you know what, I'm ashamed to say it, but I've never seen Jaws. What are you putting it on to kind of hook them and to let them know they got to watch this movie?
that's a really damn good question. I'm putting it on the first few moments of Quint, Brody, and Hooper in the boathouse talking, and then I'm putting it on the shot where you see the shark teeth on the window.
Oh, and it pans. Yeah.
And the boat is going out to sea, you know, kind of leading you to know what dangers.
Why he's seen shanties.
What dangers lay ahead. You see that boat going through the shark teeth, and you see them drifting further and further away, and you know they're going on a journey.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I would put on.
My two scenes, like I said, I love the scene where the Boy Scout leader gets his boat flipped, and you don't see the shark yet.
Oh, yeah.
But you just see
it, yep.
barely underwater rip his leg off, and you see that leg fall. I thought that was awesome.
Yep.
And then I'd have to say, okay, I'm gonna add two more. I gotta cheat a little bit.
Are you guys okay?
When Brody's throwing the chum out. You want to slow ahead, come chuck some of this, you know.
Yep,
and all of a sudden, you see the first
scene.
appearance, got the iconic
That's
line.
the iconic. Yep.
You're going to need a bigger boat and stuff like that. But my main scene, if I'm hooking somebody on one scene, it's like I said, I'm going to do it when they're eating their dinner in the boathouse and they're comparing scars and they have that camaraderie, talking about all their shark escapades. And you got Chief Brody back there just looking at his appendix scar.
when they're on the ship, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, "They drink to your leg and you drink to my
Right.
leg." Yeah.
All that. Like, those are the scenes I'm showing,
That's
like I
right.
said. And I personally think if you can't get roused by those, you probably have no soul. But I mean, that's just me kidding around because everybody's got their taste.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. It's
So transitioning then, obviously, like you were mentioning, how so many people went and watched this movie and how it actually struck a chord with them as far as swimming and things like that go. The movie was obviously a phenomenon. Like I said, the
it
first
was a
summer
hit.
blockbuster.
Yeah. And they made that. They saw those cash dollars.
That's it.
Saw those cash dollars. And
So, what come from those cash dollars? then?
that was all of it. I mean, you had. I mean, let's go down the list a little bit and not to go. We could go on a huge list, but let's talk about. You had video games, old school video games, which are now old school. They were new at the time, of course.
Right.
But we're talking about old school classic video games. Jaws. Several games have been made. We're talking about merchandise, shirts, mugs. I mean, even to this day at Universal and all over the internet, all over the world, you can buy Jaws merch, shirts, like what we got.
Sure.
What we got on right now.
You got the Orca right
You got
here,
the Orca,
with Bruce
you got all
and
this.
Quint.
You can buy all this stuff. You have a stage play, and I believe that was a. Let's see, what was that? That was called
The Shark
was
is
it
Still
called
Broken.
The Shark is Still Broken, or
Yeah.
Shark Still Working? I can't. One of those.
No, it's broke. It's still broken.
Still Broken, and that's
Ian Shaw.
Ian Shaw as the Quint. In that, and if you go
Looks just like his daddy.
go on to YouTube and just pull up a couple of clips of him.
We can put a clip in there. Or not even perform, but we can put a clip in there. Like he's got one on there where he's promoting.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Beautiful.
is spot on. I mean, down to the voice, down to the mannerisms, down to the costume, everything. And you've got all this, and then you have one of my favorite, and I think one of your favorite elements of all time, besides all the merch and all the other
Yeah.
crazy shit, the ride.
ride.
The classic Universal Studios
I'm
ride.
glad you mentioned the ride because as we get to the ride, what was a precursor of that ride was the Hollywood Tram Tour. like I said, because after the movie was like, we got to get something here on this tram tour, and
There you go.
you had them come in, and you have that like, the scene where you see Amity, and like sometimes like some years it'd just be a scuba diver getting it, some years
right,
a boat gets pulled down,
And sometimes it wouldn't work.
and you got many versions of that shark popping out of
Yeah.
the water with the teeth, and it was fantastic. But they knew they had something there,
Yeah.
and like you mentioned that ride,
and
they're
it
like,
never looked as real,
No.
as good as Orlando. But I digress.
yeah. So like they said, we're getting ready to open this park in Orlando. What's going to be one of our staples? Well, you got Confrontation, Back to the
Mm-hmm. Back
Future.
to the Future, E.T.
E.T.
Yeah.
and Jaws,
And
of course,
Jaws.
Jaws. And so, like, yeah, let us know what's some of those good snippets for our friends and fiends who maybe never got lucky enough to ride Captain Jake's boat tour.
Captain Jake's Boat Tour, Jaws ride, 1990 to 2012.
Sad day.
I remember my parents taking me to Orlando Universal at a young age, and I remember riding down I-Drive and the highway there and seeing that sign. And they had a sign, try to put a clip in here. They had a sign
Oh, yes.
where the shark itself was
On the
10
billboard.
times bigger than the damn boat. And that terrified me because I knew we were going there. And I knew that we were going to ride that.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we got in there, we rode that, and man, it was such a great ride. And just like the film,
Yes.
the ride was plagued with problems. And you can read all about. There's several good books about the problems that went on with the ride. The sharks not working in the
Yeah.
water, all the different problems they had in the water with the sharks.
Yeah.
And so you had this fully immersive queue, and I got a couple of notes here about the queue. It was Amity
Network.
local TV
Yeah.
station, WJWS 13 was the station.
Uh-huh.
The station that bites was the tagline. And the station that plays the hits was the other tagline. The station features a low-budget talk show called Hey There, Amity. And it would interview the real Quint and the real
Hooper.
Brody, the real Hooper. And these were played by goofballs who worked at Universal.
These are on
These were-
YouTube, so do yourself a
check
favor
these
to
out.
check those
Go
out.
down
yeah.
the rabbit hole and check these out because you had this really dorky guy playing Brody. And he's like, "Oh, well, I actually killed the shark in one shot." Yeah, it's just go check it out. It's classic. But this queue was immersive. I mean, the whole Amity Island of Universal was immersive.
I miss Amity Island
And
so
the
bad.
smells, the sights, the sounds. It was 4th of July in Amity when you went in there.
every day.
Every day. And I loved it. And this was, to me as a kid, I mean, 10, 11 years old, this thing was
The ride that was my favorite.
this
ride.
was, yeah. This
Still,
was,
to this day, is my favorite ride. When people ask me, "What's your favorite thing you've
Yeah.
ever read all time?" Jaws.
oh, I love it. And this just left an impression on me, having seen the film, having seen the billboard, and then went, oh, shit, we're going in there. We're going to have to ride that ride.
And
And
you talking about the
it's
bugs?
terrifying. The shark
Oh, yeah.
itself was, I mean,
Yeah, you talked about the
terrifying.
bugs in there. There's also videos that you need to watch, Friends and Fiends, because the initial ride itself was completely different than when we went on it once they fixed those bugs. Because they originally had a shark with real sharp teeth that could bite down on the boat and
and drag the boat. Yeah.
drag the boat, and the timing was always off. That's just some of the little bugs that happened. Even a guest fell into the water, and luckily they were able to cut off all the mechanics to it.
Yeah.
And so all kinds of major bugs. And Universal was blaming the ride company. Ride company was blaming Universal.
Yeah.
And,
Lawsuits happened.
Money was exchanged.
There's a whole series of books and videos about this. And one book we got
Yes.
for Christmas that is just
Fantastic
phenomenal.
gift from my friend.
Yeah, because I thought, who's gonna love this book with all the great behind the scenes pictures? This guy, he's gonna love it. So
I love when they actually retooled the ride. There's there's some things in here it had the ending homage part 1 where he shoots the shark and you see bloody chum go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But then they actually took we're talking about how some of the sequels have some good stuff, some of them not so good.
Right.
But they took some good stuff from Jaws 2 and had you electrocute the shark. And like you said, the first time I rode that, and we forgot to mention it when we were talking about the film, but you hear John Williams' classic score, the 3 beats and
Yep.
all that good stuff, and
it's
so beautiful.
when
So
it opens
beautiful.
with that coral reef and they're going through, and you can almost feel like if your foot is in the water, you're gonna be like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I gotta get my foot out of the water.
Talking about how scary it was. What did you think when you get locked up in the boathouse and things are just going off around
it was
you?
great. It was just, I mean, this ride, and then we did Confrontation, and we did all the Universal classics.
Yes.
But man, I was like,
Jaws just stuck with me.
so that in itself, this initial trip to Universal as a kid stuck with me, made me love the park, made me love these rides, and now of course, with HHN and all that stuff,
Yeah.
longtime lover of the still some of the current attractions that happen there.
And like I said, sadly in 2012 it closed. I mean, we did get like Harry Potter Land is amazing and it's immersive and the ride is great. But I wish they'd find some way to bring the Jaws ride back.
I know, right?
And but the beautiful thing is, friends and feeds, if you actually have the coin and you love traveling, they still have this ride over in Japan. So if you want to see the Japanese version of it, it's there for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
So highly recommend you actually going and partaking into it if you're able to do so, obviously. But we mentioned all the merchandise, all that good stuff. One cool thing now, as the film is coming up on its 50th anniversary and people are still talking about it, a few years ago, sadly to say, they found Bruce, one of the last molds of Bruce, in a junkyard.
Yeah.
And luckily that was salvaged, and Greg Nicotero, the great Greg Nicotero from K&B Effects, helped restore it. And now I can't remember what museum it's hanging in, but it's there for people to enjoy. So I'm glad they're able to say that, because Universal's really had some like bad history of just letting stuff go to rot and go to waste. Because you think about the original Orca used to be at Hollywood, and Steven Spielberg himself was so irate when he found out that
he split his wig.
Yeah, when
he was real pissed about that.
Said it was sinking, they just cut it up instead of trying to fix it. And he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
But they didn't even tell him. He shows up one day at random, and he's like, "Where's the boat?"
Yeah, where's the Orca?
And like, "Oh, we got rid of it." He's like, "You did what?"
Yeah.
And with I know there's some footage out there if you want to look that up too, with Nicotero talking about how tedious it was to restore Bruce, the shark, to the glory.
Yes.
And this is from a master
Right.
effects makeup artist who's like, damn, we had to strip the thing. We had to
Sand it
skeleton, re-sand it, reapply, all the makeup, all the latex, all the stuff that went into this thing was just hell.
Yeah.
It was a hellscape. And there's a lot of footage about that too, if you're curious about that process. But you could go down the rabbit hole on Jaws behind the scenes, the ride,
so
and
much,
the movie if you want to.
Interesting facts I love.
Oh, yeah.
So we could be here all night talking about it.
Exactly.
But winding down them, one good thing I can say is at least you're starting to see it reemerge back in Universal's park. So we had last year the mega movie parade, and they had that big float.
Yeah, you guys were there.
Oh, it was beautiful. Like I said, you had the guy playing Quint looks great. He's got the sideburns. He's all over the Orca, and they're like quoting lines from the movie. And before that float gets there, you got Larry Vaughn and Chief Brody running through there, and you got Larry Vaughn. Hey, there's no shark. There's no shark. We're open. Or you see a shark? No.
Yeah, interacting with the crowd, and I like that a lot. That's
wonderful job.
Yeah.
And then you actually had the Lagoon Show last year. Oh, if you got to experience the Lagoon Show, friends and fiends, that was so awesome too. Seeing the shark fin come up out of the water, and all the lights and the effects, the drones, all that good stuff. Like I said, Universal done a fantastic job with this. And as you see now for that 50th anniversary, that if you're at the park and you're in San Francisco, they brought back one of the old boats from Captain Jake's Boat Tours, and they got former boat captains out there going through the whole speech.
Yep.
We'll be shark bait in 10 minutes.
We'll be shark bait. Yeah, call off the what is it, the Navy? We're coming home. We're coming home. Yeah.
And great, they got merchandise, like merchandising, Jaws the T-shirt.
That's right. And shark still looks fake.
Yeah.
But, and it's such a classic, iconic film that's just steeped into pop culture. And the funny thing is, it's steeped into pop culture from a thing that at the time when they were making it, they didn't even know if it was going to work.
No, Spielberg
and look at what
for
it's
sure
turned
was
into.
going to end his career.
and even more so than, think about the legend of Jaws, the legacy of Jaws, even more so than E.T., even more so than Poltergeist, even more so than some of those others.
Yeah.
It's I would feel like it's a bigger entity.
It is, and like I said, for it to be 50 years old, and like my kids love it. People a little younger us love it. Older audiences still love it.
Oh, I love it.
It's timeless,
and you can put it on in the background just to have something good in the background.
I know the past few years they've actually said, because Spielberg's talked about how they're itching to want to do a remake, and I mean this was lightning in a bottle that you couldn't touch it. You couldn't touch it. You couldn't redo it. I mean, you could try, but part of the problem is the charm of Bruce, seeing him. Yeah, obviously the shark doesn't look as realistic as sharks, but CGI it would just lose its flavor on that because they would just overdo it, and it just, I don't know. Just for me, I just don't think it would work. It's just like how Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale say we're not touching.
Don't touch Back to the Future. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so I'm glad right now that Spielberg's able to have his voice in that.
Yeah.
But hey, friends and fiends, let us know in the comments, what do you think about Jaws? Is it an all-time classic? Because we don't really need to do the Goldblum scale because we already know what our Goldblum scale
It's 5.
5, perfect.
And I would
yeah.
give it 10 if we did such a scale. But let us ask you this. Let us leave you with this question, friends and fiends. If you've seen Jaws at all, whether you're a fan or not, if you've seen it one time, if you've seen it 100 times, 1,000 times,
Yeah.
tell us. If you go to the beach and you get in the ocean, tell us. You know you still think about it.
Oh.
You know you still think somewhere that shark is down there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the legacy of Jaws.
Waiting for you.
Waiting for you. And that's the legacy of Jaws. And remember to stay spooky. And remember, Amity's a summer town and we need summer dollars.